Hey everybody, this video is a continuation on a series of videos that I like to put out on health topics that are quite easy to implement within your schedules, yet have an enormous effect on how you feel and really your overall health and well-being. First one I put out was on water and how to hydrate well, a few tips on how to hydrate well throughout your day. And then we're going to go on to stretching. And those two things right there, hydrating well and stretching consistently, just really has an enormous way on how you move and how you feel from day to day. And usually what happens if you're able to consistently do them, that they spark a momentum, or just feel good momentum. And you start adding layers of additional healthy choices, and it just goes on and on from there. So it's why I want to cover these two topics. And then specifically in this video, I want to talk about the mindset of stretching and really kind of get you into the right frame of thought on how to stretch properly. So why should we stretch? I mean, we just said there's like a whole slew of people who are never stretching. They're fine, right? No, we know. We feel the tightness, the lack of mobility, the way we waddle sometimes. We've seen people waddling. And, there's many reasons, and we're not going to go into the biology of stretching and why we should be stretching. My purpose is to feel good, and I'm thinking that that's your purposes. We just want to feel better. We want to move better, and that's why we should stretch, right? There's 7 types of stretching, and we're focusing mostly on static stretching. Sometimes I talk about dynamic stretching. There's one other type that's very effective. It's more of a functional stretching in the sense that it's a good preparation for your joints, your ligaments, and your tendons, especially if you're about to engage in high-level activity. We're not going to go into that right now. We're going to focus on static stretching, which, like the name states, it's the hold stretch. Why is that? It's because we're trying to counteract the shortening of the muscles. And that's one of the main reasons for a lack of mobility. So almost every day we're engaged in some form of repetitive action, or we're in a position for long periods of time. And those are the activities that cause the assigned muscles to that activity to shorten. Now, why is that? I mean, why aren't my muscles smart enough to change immediately? If I'm sitting for 4 or 5 hours and then I go to stand up, why don't my muscles just immediately elongate so that I can move and go about my day without any type of tightness or pain, for that matter? It's a good question. And the truth is that there is a component within the muscle fibers called a proprioceptor, which acts like a sort of computer chip that has a programming that determines the length of that muscle. And the reason why it doesn't change automatically is it's protecting the muscle. It's protecting the tendon, which protects the joint. How does that work? Let's say, for example, let's use this bicep muscle. This is the length of this bicep muscle. The proprioceptor within the bicep muscle knows that this is the length of this muscle. Now, if all of a sudden somebody was to push on my hand and it was going quickly past that programmed length, it kicks in. There's 2 proprioceptors, actually. There's one within the muscle fiber itself, the belly of the muscle, and it relaxes. And then there's one in the tendon that tightens. It's called a tendon reflex, and it protects from tearing. So without getting too technical, basically the proprioceptors within every muscle and within every tendon act as a safety unit to protect from ripping. And that's what it's there for. It determines, without determining how long this muscle should be, your muscles will be all over the place. They'll be all willy-nilly all over. You'll be ripping, tearing, and there'll be no kind of control. It'll be haywire within your joints. So they serve a very good purpose. And in the same sense, it's good news because we are the ones that program it. We're the masters of our bodies. It's determined by what we do, how we act, how we move, what ultimately determines the length of a muscle. Not right away, just like any kind of programming. It just doesn't change like that. You have to do a series of things in order to reprogram it. Either wipe the old programming off and reload, or do something within the program to make changes. Same thing applies to our proprioceptors. Okay? And this is why how you stretch is incredibly important in order to get an effective stretch and to not hurt yourself. So how do we go about working with the proprioceptor as opposed to against it? And that's the key, ladies and gentlemen. We want to work with the muscles. We don't want to fight it. Okay? So how do we go about that? First thing is the setup. All right? Get the position. You have to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're all tight and you got proprioceptors firing all over the place, they're not going to know what the hell's going on. You have to be comfortable. So the first foremost thing is the positioning, the setup. You may have to modify whatever that stretch has been given to you, or you've seen it on the tape, or I gave it to you, or whatever. You may have to modify it many ways over and over to find a position where you are comfortable. You cannot do an effective stretch unless you're somewhat comfortable. There'll be some stretches that will be a little uncomfortable at first, but you have to find, the point I'm trying to make is you have to find the most comfortable position you can possibly be in order to do this stretch. Okay? I can't be more clear on that. Set up the position, number one priority. And does this feel as natural as possible? Am I in a position that feels as least uncomfortable as possible before I even begin to do the stretch? Rule number one. So step two, once you've found that position, the most comfortable position of ease, you breathe and you relax and you settle into that position. You make the mind-muscle connection, specifically the target muscle, the muscle you're trying to elongate. Okay? So, and you cannot do that unless you're, at some point of comfort level. That's why step one is very important. So once you're able to connect with that muscle and breathe and relax, then you go into step three and we start to work with the proprioceptor. So again, those are two crucial steps to go through before we actually start engaging with the stretch. So now how do we do step three? How do we engage and work with the proprioceptor? Well, you gently approach that line that wakes up the proprioceptor. That line is your borderline. The minute you feel like, okay, this is the border. If I go any past this, I'm stretching. I'm elongating my muscle. Right here, normal. Right here, oh, it feels a little tight. Oh, okay, there's my border. Any more, and it's a stretch. So you found that line. Find that line. Step three, find the line, and you'll know it when you feel it. If you've done step two, you can do step three. You know what I'm saying? Stay with me. So once you found that line, you engage it. You go into it a little bit. What's going to happen? The proprioceptors go ding, 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 ding. Something's happening. I have to tighten up, all right, and protect my muscles and my tendons. And that's okay. You hang out there 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gently pull back on this side of the border. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back over the border. Gently. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come back on this side of the border. Just over the border. 2, 3, 4. So what's happening is you're relaxing the proprioceptor. Proprioceptor's going, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, everything's okay. Okay. Well, wait. Something's going on. What's happening? What? No, everything's okay. 4 seconds. Some guy figured it out. Just use it. It works. It's very specific timing. But again, you're basically relaxing the proprioceptor. You're telling it, I'm okay. Okay. I'm trying to reprogram you and just work with me. Once you've done that about 3 times, you'll feel, and each time you may feel that border moves a little. And if you don't, that's okay. After the 3rd time, it definitely will have moved. So you push it And that's where the hold. You're going to push through that line, and that line's going to have moved considerably from when you first started to stretch. You're going to push through it, and you're going to find that spot. You don't want to be too aggressive, but you want to feel like you're stretching. And once you find that line and you're pushing it slightly, you relax into that. Here you kick in with the breathing again, and you relax. And you want to hold it for at least 20 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds tends to be the sweet spot. You can go a little longer if you feel comfortable. You have the time to do so. But at least 20 seconds has to be a minimum. What's happening here is this is where the reprogramming is being done. You've disengaged the proprioceptor. Now you're holding it for a prolonged period of time. So the proprioceptor is going, oh, my master wants me to be this long. It has to be past a certain amount of time for that programming to happen. That's why this stretch here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't work. You're going to go, the muscle goes right back to what the programming is. And there is such a thing as overstretching. I would like to make that point. How do you get there? It really depends on the body. If you're, holding a static hold for like minutes, and you're doing it over and over, as far as, days on end, you can overstretch. And what's actually happening when you overstretch is you're elongating the ligaments. It goes beyond the muscle, beyond the tendon. It starts hitting the ligaments. And what that's going to cause is instability within the joint. So we don't want that. You can overstretch. More is not better when it comes to stretching. Progressively elongating, resetting that proprioceptor is the name of the game, because it doesn't take much to feel the difference. If you can only go this far, and then tomorrow you can go this far, you'll feel it. Next week you go this far, you're really going to feel it. Okay? So the usual timeline as far as how are you going to feel when you start implementing these stretches into your life. That first time is not going to be comfortable. It may hurt a lot, especially if you haven't stretched in a while or at all. And you breathe through that. And the second time you go down for that stretch, it's probably still not going to be comfortable. And the third time too. But I guarantee you by the fourth time, you probably start saying, oh, it doesn't hurt as much. The fifth time, wow, I can do this much better now. And the sixth time, now you're going to start enjoying. You're going to start scraping the edges where it's going to feel good. And of course, all this is determined by what kind of condition you're in now. And on a weekly basis, I find that the bare minimum is 2 to 3 times a week. And I'm talking about a routine, not one stretch. There's certain stretches that you can do every day. But if I'm talking about like a specific routine, you've worked together a routine now that takes a period of time. I have a routine that came together organically. I found stretches over the years that I felt I needed. I did what necessary modifications I felt. I've honed these stretches for me. If I strung them all along, it'd probably take me about 45 minutes to do them all correctly. So, and if I got the time, great. I can shorten that sometimes, the 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what my priority is. But if I'm doing that routine, a minimum of 3 times a week, man, I feel great. I feel great. All my little aches and pains don't hurt as much. I'm moving. I got a little pep to my step. If I'm suggesting to you that the hold is 30 seconds and it takes you, let's say, 30 seconds to do the relaxing in and out of the proprioceptor, that's 1 to 2 minutes. The average stretch done properly takes 1 to 2 minutes. So there's no way you can't find, let's even say 3 minutes, 5 minutes to do 1 or 2 stretches properly. And if you sprinkle your day with this, you got a whole routine done in a day. You're going to feel fabulous. Believe me, do it. If I told you that you could do something that takes 3 minutes and you will feel 10 years younger, would you do it? Of course you would. Stretch. You are going to be amazed at how good you feel. You are going to shower me with gratitude when you start stretching regularly. And I look forward to that. On my next video, I'm going to be demonstrating what I consider the most important stretch that everyone on the planet should be doing. You don't want to miss that. You might want to subscribe to the channel so you can get it, the notification thing. I'm not sure how that works, but check it out, okay? Peace. That was my best one.